is my daddy's station. I'm Pooh, classic radio like you always wished it could be. 101.1 FM, Eager.
101.1 FM is owned and operated by the Independence Foundation Trust as a non-profit community service.
I can assure you, this is the voice of freedom. You're listening to the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network. You're listening to the Hour of the Time. I'm William Cooper. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we first went on the air here in the Round Valley with 101.1 FM, I was ready right off the bat to be challenged, and we were prepared. We had done our research in the law and in the existing cases of the FCC trying to silence low-power broadcasting in other areas of the country. And so we had all our ducks in a row, but nothing happened. I mean, there was some grumbling, and we heard that the local station manager was very upset with 101.1 FM, but nothing happened. And we've been broadcasting now for over 10 months, ladies and gentlemen. But today, it finally came. And it came the day after we began our revelations of the absolute heart and soul of the mystery religion of Babylon, practiced in all of the secret fraternal orders, in the groups whose highest levels make up the brotherhood of man, the total fraternity of the adepts known as the Illuminati, the source of socialism, communism, and the heart and soul of the destructive force that is taking this country apart piece by piece from within. Not from without, folks, from within. The enemy has always been here. Remember the Pogo cartoon when he and Churchy, you know, the turtle, and all the rest of the gang, they put on their pots and pans on their head, and they headed out in their Peru across the swamp. to find the enemy and defeat him. And while they were out in the swamp looking for the enemy, we were treated to several weeks of cartoons about the ones who stayed back at home. And then one day, lo and behold, someone came running into the little swamp town there and said, they're back, they're coming. Everybody went round and got everybody and went down to the edge of the swamp, and here they came in their pirogue. Paddled up and beached their boat. And Pogo said, we have found the enemy, and they are us. A truer word, ladies and gentlemen, has never been spoken by anyone. Pogo was profound in his statement. And so the greatest enemy that we have is us. You want to know what's wrong with America? Go in your bathroom and look in the mirror. You want to know why they want to shut this station up? Because they don't want you to know that, folks. They don't want you to get smart. They don't want you to turn things around. They don't want you to save freedom. They don't want the Constitution to prevail. And so they depend upon your ignorance and your apathy, and yes, even a great deal of stupidity, to accept everything that just comes along. Nobody ever questions anything. And when you do, you find out, oh my God, how could this be? You see, I was like everybody else for most of my life. I thought you had to have a license from the FCC to do any kind of broadcasting whatsoever. Until I studied the law. And the first thing I studied was the Constitution for the United States of America, which is the government. It is the government. So when those of us who are against some of these things that people in government are doing outside the law, they're really outlaws. People who don't know these things call us anti-government. But the truth is, the people who say that and the people who allow these government officials, you see, it's not the government that's doing the wrong things, it's people in government. The Constitution's a piece of paper, it's a contract. It is the government. It outlines and specifies exactly what the federal government is. But the Constitution can't get up and do something against us. It's people who do that. People who worm their way into positions in government who have other agendas, who are there to serve that agenda. And in this day and age, it's to destroy this country from within, to destroy our government. And upon the ashes of the Constitution for the United States of America, they wish to raise up the phoenix in the form of a socialist, totalitarian world government. That's what it's all about. So they don't want us to know the law. And these subversives have been engaged for many, many years in convincing the common man, you and I, because that's all I am, folks. I'm no different than any of you out there listening. For many years, I was a sheeple, just like many of you. I didn't know what was what, but I thought I did. And I believed those in authority are those who I had always been told were my teachers and would tell me the right thing, that they would never tell me wrong. But one day I woke up, ladies and gentlemen. While I was in the Navy, they assigned me to the Office of Naval Intelligence. If they had never done that, I would still be just as ignorant and apathetic and stupid as I always was for most of my life. While I was a member of the Office of Naval Intelligence, I found out that the American people are seldom ever told the truth. and what really is going on behind the scenes, if it were generally known and believed by the majority of the population, would have resulted in an uprising and a wholesale slaughter the likes of which the world has probably never known. And so I always believed all these things. I believed that you're supposed to file a 1040. I believe that. And you're supposed to pay the income tax. And I believed that you can't broadcast without a license from the FCC. But then I'd found out, I'd learned enough while I was with the Office of Naval Intelligence to start questioning everything, ladies and gentlemen. I learned that the federal government has very little power and very little jurisdiction. I learned that a Form 1040 is really for non-resident aliens. Well, that wasn't me. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. I'm a citizen of the state of California by birth and of the state of Arizona by domicile. I have fulfilled the requirement in the law. And I learned that there really is no such thing as state income tax. There is an agreement, a contract between the United States government, which is a corporation, it's not the United States of America, and the corporate states, not the several sovereign states. And until you study the law, you'll never understand this. I'm telling you right now, this is the way it is, and it's all there for you to see. If you just get your nose into it, it's not even hard to understand. There's a contract whereby the states foist income tax on the citizens of the states through, ladies and gentlemen, get this, Title 26 of the United States Code and the Internal Revenue Code for the United States of America. And if you try to get a copy of this contract, they will only send you a redacted copy, which means they will not let you see the whole contract. Because if you saw the whole contract, you would understand that it's unlawful and you're not subject to it, and that they only have the lawful right to tax certain people for certain activities, and that it really is an excise, and that it only governs certain jurisdictions and foreigners, foreign corporations, non-resident aliens, foreign trusts, banks, insurance companies, and governments who are doing business with the Federal District of Columbia, or any of their territories or possessions, dockyards, forts, etc., but not the citizens of the several states. If it was up on the up and up, why wouldn't they let you see the contract? Because according to the law, anything entered into between the United States government and the state of which you are a citizen must be disclosed to the citizens of the state if they ask to see it. But they won't. They won't. How about that? Now, I'm not advising you to get in trouble, because I studied for many years to learn these things, folks. And I'm going to tell you right now, for you to go out and try to apply any of what you're hearing right now is going to just get you in trouble. So don't do it. I advise you not to do it unless you have done as much study in the law as I and others have done and can stand up and protect yourself with the law. And if they decide to throw the law out the window, you must be ready and willing to protect yourself by any and all means that are available to you. In other words, folks, if you love freedom and you really want to live free, you've got to be ready and willing to die for it if necessary. I am. Most of you aren't. And the history of the world has proven that if a despot comes along Most people will do exactly what they're told rather than take any risk. See, but I learned something in my life. My father was an Air Force officer, and I spent most of my life on Air Force bases and in foreign countries. I went to high school in Japan. When I graduated from high school, I went in the Air Force, served with the Strategic Air Command, had a secret clearance, worked on B-52 bombers, KC-135 aircraft, and Minuteman missiles. During the Cuban crisis, I slept on the alert pad under the belly of a B-52 staring up at a hydrogen bomb. I was willing to die for my country. I was just a young man. There were a lot of us there, all volunteers. Then when I left the Air Force, I went into the Navy. I was willing to die for my country. Willing to die for freedom, for the Constitution, for the principles and ideals upon which this great nation was based. I went to Vietnam, thinking that I was fighting for my country and fighting for the Constitution for the United States of America, fighting for freedom. Boy, I learned a big lesson over there. Those people didn't think I was fighting for their freedom or mine either. They knew why I was there. And we were up against these little guys, barefoot most of the time. When they had shoes, they were usually a piece of worn-out tire tread strapped around their ankles. They had a little bag of rice on their belt, a few bullets, an AK-47. Sometimes they had a hat, sometimes they just had a rag tied around their forehead. They wore clothing that resembled pajamas, and they were black most of the time. Not always, but most of the time. But they were good fighters. You know why they were good fighters? You know why they were so hard to beat, ladies and gentlemen? We brought the military might and the technological developed weapons, the best in the world, against them. And they ran around in the woods, the jungle, with what I just described to you, very little else. And they were a formidable enemy. We did not beat them because they believed in what they were doing. They were fighting for freedom. We were not. We weren't fighting for freedom, folks. We weren't fighting for the Constitution. We weren't fighting for the United States of America. We were fighting for very powerful, big money interests. We were fighting for the oil in the South China Sea and in the Gulf of Tonkin. We were fighting for the control of the drugs in the Golden Triangle. That's what we were fighting for. We were fighting to gain what colonial or empirical France had lost. During World War II, Ho Chi Minh was actually fighting on our side. Ho Chi Minh just wanted his country to be free. He wanted the French out. He didn't want any colonists there. He wanted the United States of America to help him free Vietnam. North and South, the whole country. There was no North and South then, by the way. And we double-crossed him. We promised him we would. And we double-crossed him. So he went to the only people who didn't double-cross him, and that was the communists. And he became a communist. And he eventually defeated the French after we had double-crossed him and gave Vietnam back to the French. You see, we had promised him we would not do that he would have a free country. So he and his freedom fighters gave their blood for our side during World War II, thinking all the while that we were going to honor our commitment. Boy, how many people have we double-crossed in that manner throughout our history? Huh? You might want to go talk to some Native American Indians about that kind of thing. And a whole bunch of others. Our word as a nation hasn't meant much through the years. Well, I and a lot of other Vietnam veterans learned those lessons while we were over there. We brought those lessons back. And I and a lot of other men who finally grew up, who finally learned to use our own brain for something else besides a airspace filler between our ears. And we decided we're really going to fight for our country, we're really going to fight for freedom, and we're going to honor our oath to protect and defend the Constitution for the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that's the oath I took when I enlisted in the Air Force, and that's the oath I took when I enlisted in the Navy. And that's what I thought I was fighting for in Vietnam. So I want you, Mr. Dennis, whoever you are, who called me today and threatened me with going to jail and a fine of $10,000, if I don't shut this station down, I want you to understand something, mister. And you better understand it right now. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you really are who you say you are, but I don't care, you see. What makes you think that if I was ready to give my life in defense of freedom and the Constitution for the United States of America by fighting in Vietnam, by enlisting first in the Air Force, then in the Navy, by standing on the deck of a river patrol boat for a year with a crew of 5 young boys, and I wasn't much more than a boy, engaging the enemy every single night with no foxholes to get in and no trees to hide behind. What makes you think you can call me up and threaten me on the telephone? What makes you think I'm going to tuck my tail and run? What makes you think if I was ready and willing to die for freedom over there that I'm not ready and willing to die for freedom here or go to jail or anything that's required of me? You see, you chose the wrong person to try to intimidate. I can't be bought. I cannot be frightened. And you might as well get in line, because I've been doing this for years. For years I've been ratting on the cockroaches that infest our government and are ripping this country apart, and I'm going to continue shining the spotlight on those bugs way back there in the corner behind the refrigerator. And when I do it, you see them scurry for cover. See, I have no doubt that for 10 months I've been broadcasting, and I really don't think that anybody here cared either way, except for the people who listen to this station and appreciate it. I think it's the recent revelations on this broadcast that have caused some extremely powerful interests to lean on some people here to take some action. But they lean on the wrong people, you see. Because it won't work. You see, I am ready and willing to go to prison if I have to, or to die if I have to, in defense of my rights, my freedom, the Constitution for the United States of America, which protects the freedom of all of us and limits the oppressive power of government. And that Constitution clearly states that the FCC has no power over anyone except if they are engaged in interstate commerce in broadcasting, and I am not engaged in that. In fact, the entire federal government has very limited powers, and most of those powers have to do with interstate commerce. And I'm not the only one that knows these things. You see, we've been prepared for this for a long time. In fact, we have our FCC information packet all ready to go. We sent out the letters to all of our affiliate stations, I believe it was yesterday, or the day before. It was the day before yesterday. All the letters went out to our affiliate stations telling them that the FCC information packet is ready. We were going to send it out to them for free, but we cannot, folks, because it costs us too much money to copy. We made a master, and we don't have the money to print a whole bunch, so we had to go down and have them copied one by one. And so, for our affiliate stations, any affiliate station that wants this FCC information packet, which, by the way, folks, is 190-something pages, 192 pages. 192 pages. Covering your rights to broadcast with low-power FM transmitters. And anybody else that wants to. Now, this offers just for the affiliate stations. We can't afford to do this for everybody. Just for our affiliate stations. If you want a copy of this information packet prepared by the Harvest Trust, send us $15 and that will deliver it to your door. It's thick. It's 192 pages, folks, on 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper. It costs us $12 in copy fees, and we can't go anywhere else. We're in a rural area. We have to pay what they charge here. And we get the lowest rate because we do a lot of copying with them. It cost us $12 to print each packet. We added $3 for shipping and handling, because that's what it's going to cost, because it's going to go by UPS. And the strike is over, by the way. They'll all be back to work within a few days. We tried to get an account in the interim because of the strike with Federal Express, but they refused to take new accounts. I guess they were swamped. And we don't like to use the mail for this kind of stuff because we lose too many packages. I'm sorry, I know there's some good people work in the post office, but that just happens to be the truth. So we've been ready for a long time. And if we have to fit the Battle of Jericho, by golly, we'll fit the Battle of Jericho. In court or on my doorstep. I don't care which. I don't care which. You see, everybody says, well, you can't do that. I mean, what are you you're gonna die for a little broadcasting station? Folks, I got to tell you, if you keep giving up your rights one by one, every day, day after day, week after week, month after month, and year after year, because that particular right is just not big enough to stand up for. How long do you think it's going to be before there's none left to stand up for it all? I drew the line in the sand a long time ago. A long time ago. How many of you, if the president called up your children right now to go in the military, to go fight a war in Nicaragua, how many of you would pat them on the butt, kiss them on the cheek, and send them out the door, and then proudly display a flag on your door that your son or daughter is a patriot off fighting for the United States of America? How many of you would do that? Don't shake your head. I know for a fact that most of you would do it because you wouldn't have the guts to say no. And you wouldn't want to see your sons or daughters in jail. And you know I'm right. But if you did that to my children, they're too young now, but someday they will be old enough. Did that to my children, ladies and gentlemen. Unless it was in defense of the Constitution for the United States of America, unless it was defense of freedom, they're not going. They go over my dead body. Because I've already been, and I know what it's all about. I was attached to the Office of Naval Intelligence. I know what was really going on behind the scenes, folks. I know the truth of what's happening. I've spent 26 years researching all of this stuff to find out what's behind it, who's behind it, and where are we headed. You haven't. You just sit at home and you watch everything deteriorating and going to hell all around you, and you say, gee, I wonder how that happened. Well, I'll write my congressman. Your congressman turns out to be a crook or a liar, and you say, well, it was just one of those things. He's telling the truth this time. We're going to re-elect him. Going to re-elect him. How many times? How long is it going to be before you catch on? And realize that freedom starts on your doorstep. And there will come a day, not too far in the future, when it'll be gone for good, and it won't come back without a lot of bloodshed. And that's been the purpose of this broadcast for all of these years, is to try to educate the American people to the point where that doesn't have to happen. But I got news for you. I quit believing that a while ago. It's going to happen, just a question of when. And who's going to lay down and who's going to stand up and fight. It's the only question left. In this packet we put together on how to deal with the FCC, I'm going to read you the table of contents. Page 3, Committee on Democratic Communications. Page 4, Reclaiming the Airways by Stephen Dunifer. Page 5, When the FCC Knocks on Your Door. Page 7, The Legal Victory of Free Radio Berkeley by P.B. Floyd. Page 11, Guild and Guild Clients Make New Law, Create New Media. That's Low Power FM Radio. Page 14, Federal Communications Commission Authority and Jurisdiction in the Several States of the Union, Fact or Fraud by David Moore. That'll open your eyes. Response to Notice of Apparent Liability, page 29. On page 39, Letter to Chief Enforcement Division, FCC. Page 40, Letter to Secretary, FCC. Page 41, Application for Review of Action Taken Pursuant to Delegated Authority. Page 53, Defendant's Answer to Plaintiff's Complaint for Declaratory and Injunctive Relief. Page 56, Defendant's Memorandum of Points and Authorities in support of his answer to Plaintiff's Complaint for Declaratory and Injunctive Relief. Page 71, Defendant's Motion in Opposition to Plaintiff's Motion for Preliminary Injunction. Page 77, Defendant's Opposition to Plaintiff's Motion for Summary Judgment. Page 94, Declaration of Stephen Paul Dunifer. Page 99, FCC Chairman Hunt's Speech, September 8, 1995. That's page 101. Page 105, FCC Chairman Hunt's Speech, September 21, 1995. Page 114, FCC Chairman Hunt's Speech, September 22, 1995. Page 118, FCC Chairman Hunt's Speech, September 25, 1995. Page 123, Declaration of Robert W. McChesney. Page 125, Memorandum and Order denying plaintiff's motion for preliminary injunction and staying this action. Page 130, Letter to Federal Judge Wilkin. Page 132, Current Legal Status of Free Radio Berkeley. Page 133, Exhibit, Dugan versus FCC, Appeal, Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Page 142, Exhibit, Mbana Kantako Legal Brief. Page 192, where you can get a low-power FM transmitter, how much it costs, and all that kind of stuff. Now, this is only for our affiliate station. So if you're an affiliate station listening, send us $15. We'll send this right out to you. It costs us, and I'm not kidding you, if you want to see the invoice, we'll make you a copy and send it to you for the copying. It costs us $12 per packet. It's going to cost us $3 UPS, and that's what we're charging you, a total of $15. Like everything else we do, folks, we make very little or nothing. And when we make very little, it's usually gone within a couple of weeks. And that's the way it is around here. You see, our life, our efforts, everything we do is spent in service to this country and to this community. That's what we're all about. And I'm not doing this for altruistic reasons, ladies and gentlemen. I'm doing it because I get tired of being stupid and apathetic all my life. I got tired of being lied to and manipulated. I got tired of always fighting for the wrong causes, and I decided from now on I'm going to fight for the right causes and for the right principles and the right ideals, and I'm going to do the right thing. Come hell or high water. And I don't care who stands in my way, they're not going to stop me. Unless they kill me. And if they kill me, I've got to tell you, I won't have to do a thing. Nobody will have to do anything to them, ladies and gentlemen. They will regret it for the rest of their lives. I can assure you of that. Simply because they'll be doing wrong. And they will know when they do it that it's wrong. And they will have to live with that forever. Isn't that amazing? I'm only broadcasting here, folks, with 1 watt. We have a station up in Michigan that's broadcasting with, I believe, 95 watts or 100 watts. And all of the local stations there tried to shut him down. All of them. And the FCC has been there a couple of times. And they went to court and got a warrant to come and possess all of his equipment, and he just went to court and got an injunction against them so that they couldn't do it. You see, they don't have the authority to do it. If you study the law of the FCC, basically the only authority they have is to license stations engaged in interstate commerce and to regulate those stations once they're licensed. Before they're licensed, they have no power to regulate them. That's the law. They have no power to seize anything. They have no power to fine anyone. They have no power to serve a notice of apparent violation or anything else. They are not a law enforcement agency. The law says you must have due process. No agency of the government can do anything against any citizen without a hearing or without charging that person and bringing that person before a court of law. The subversives within government have been subverting and destroying the rights of the American citizens for too long. And it stops at my door. You can let them screw you over till the moon turns purple if you want to, but it stops at my door. Stops there. In fact, it stops before my door. It stops at the edge of my property. This station will not cut its power. This station will not stop broadcasting. This station is a nonprofit community service station, and it will continue to serve this community as long as I'm alive. That's the name of that game. And all you would-be little tyrants and Hitlers and hypocrites and liars and manipulators and everything else that are out there who are always trying to take freedom away from someone else to bend them to your will, your time is running out. Because people are waking up all across this country. People who listen to this broadcast and other broadcasts and read books and are opening their minds like their minds have never been opened before. And there will come a day when you will not be able to lie and get away with it, when you will deceive no more people, when you will manipulate no more people, when you will kill and maim and ruin and destroy no more people. You see, because whoever called today and gave us that threat did so simply to silence what is broadcast on this station. Because our signal is clean. It's rock solid. It's locked on 101.1 FM. It does not drift. It does not interfere with the signal of any other station. It produces no harmonics on any other frequency. We do not compete for the commercial dollar. Therefore, nobody can get mad at us because we're taking money out of their pocket, because we're not. We don't compete with the local broadcast stations because our programming is so different from theirs. There just isn't any competition, to put it bluntly. They have all the Communist News Network stuff. They have all the pablum, all of that stuff. We have the good music from the days when music was good and when you could understand the words. And we have programming that liberates people and gives them knowledge. And we don't ask you to believe everything we say, but in 999 cases out of 1,000, we source and document our information so that you can go and find it yourself and determine whether or not we're telling you the truth, and nobody else does that. And nobody else will tell you this but me. Listen to everyone, read everything, believe absolutely no one unless you can prove it in your own research. You won't hear that anywhere else because they don't want you to do it. But I do. I want you to set out to prove me wrong, because in so doing you will find out that I am right, and we will gain another ally in this war. And it is a war. You're all sitting around waiting for World War III. World War III has been raging for a long time. A long time. It is a battle between good and evil. It is a battle between those who wish to be free and those who wish to enslave. And it has been raging for a long, long time. The Hour of the Time is going on 6 years broadcasting now, folks. I'm staggered when I think of that. Because when I started, we didn't have any money. We still don't have any money. God takes care of us. We trust in God. We determine what is the right thing, and if it's right, we do it. And as long as we're doing the right thing, God provides for us. We take out only what is necessary to feed the family, clothe the children. Annie and I never get any new clothes. Put gas in the car and make the house payment. And everything else goes into this, ladies and gentlemen. Everything. And I mean literally everything. When we published Oklahoma City Day 1, we had some money then from the subscriptions for Veritas. It wasn't enough to publish the book. So the answer was to sell advance copies before it was published. And thank God for all of those of you who ordered advance copies. You made up the difference between what we had and what it cost to publish the book. It took every single penny that the trust had, plus all of the money from the advance orders, all of the subscription money from Veritas. To tell you the truth, when we published that book, there was not a nickel left. But God always comes through for us because it was the right thing to do. And so that book was published. Everything we've done has been that way, ladies and gentlemen. Everything. We have been selfless to the nth degree. I have always tried and continue to try and will always try and do give credit to all those people out there to help, and in many instances, a lot of people who don't help, in the hopes of inspiring them to begin to help. I have attempted to raise those up around me, teach them, give them additional responsibility, and bring out the very best in them that I could possibly bring out, and give them the credit that they so richly deserved when they did those things. That's what a good leader does. When I hold a conference, I never eat until every single person at the conference has eaten. When I was in Vietnam, I never ate until my men were fed. And I never slept until they slept. And I tried to inspire others to be leaders in that manner. And I have been successful in many instances, and I'm very proud of those people. I'm very proud of the fact that this broadcast, the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network, Veritas newspaper, my book, Oklahoma City Day One, all the speeches and lectures that I've given across this country, and the countless millions of hours of work that's been performed by all of those who are aligned with us, has awakened millions of people. Everybody's always asked me, what's the most important thing to do? The most important thing to do is educate and awaken people. Because if you have, ladies and gentlemen, the majority of the consensus of the population, you have won the battle already. If you have an awakened population, they cannot be lied to and deceived and manipulated. And if anyone comes against them with a military might, they will pick up their arms and they will fight to preserve freedom. That has always been the American way. And as long as I'm alive, nobody is going to dumb our children down so that they ever forget that. When they wanted you to believe that the militia was terrible, that the militia was some demon terrorist organization, unlawful, we went on the air and told you the truth about the militia. Over and over and over again, we read you the law. We sent you to the documents to find out the truth about the history, the tradition, and the lawfulness of the militia. One night I read to you page after page after page of the records of the militia's accomplishments in battle for this country over the years. We showed you in the law and in the tradition and in the writings and the speeches of the Founding Fathers and of Congress and of the United States Senate, where the National Guard is not, cannot, and could never be the militia. We taught you the truth about the second article in amendment, about the Bill of Rights, about what all this political rhetoric is really about. The truth about why they're bandering about the term democracy for this country when it truly is a constitutional republic. We revealed to you the true motive and agenda behind it. V.I. Lenin, the founder of the Soviet Union, said democracy is indispensable to socialism. The ruse, the big deception of the fall of the Soviet Union was the implementation of the fall of the United States of America. the democratization of the world is in fact the socialization of the world, ladies and gentlemen. It was, and it is, a ruse. And you all know that something is terribly wrong in this country. You all know that. Do you really have the guts to find out what it is and then do something about it? While it can be done without bloodshed, because I would rather see that happen than anything else in the world, and I would gladly lay down my life if I could just make sure that enough people awakened to save and preserve the freedom for America and for the world without bloodshed. I'm also ready and willing, if God wills it, if that doesn't happen, to take up arms eventually someday in the future with all those other people who are dedicated to the preservation of the principles and ideals of liberty and freedom upon which this nation was founded, and fight to reclaim those principles and ideals and restore constitutional Republican government. I'm against revolution, and wherever you hear that talk, those are communists and socialists speaking, for revolution will ensure that they win. The enemy's policy of gradualism works, ladies and gentlemen. They take a little bit here, and a little bit there, a little bit over here, and a little bit over there. And one day you look around, and a lot of things are gone. And you're mired down in laws and paperwork and taxes and fees and licenses until you can't hardly breathe. And where the head of the household used to be able to make a decent living for a family in this country, working an 8-hour day, and have the highest production of any nation in this world, and manufactured the best goods that could be found in this world, no more. Now you have to work, your wife has to work, and as soon as the children are old enough, they have to go to work. And it really doesn't make any difference how much money you make. That's just about the way it is for everybody. Except those who have learned that if they don't work, they can sit back and be supported by those of us who do. Enter the great society, the welfare state. There was a time in this country there was plenty of jobs for everybody. And there still is, ladies and gentlemen. Only the welfare state has made it impossible to hire an American citizen to do the job, because they can get more money on welfare or general relief or some other socialist program. And so all of those jobs open up to the people who in their country couldn't get a job, and if they did, couldn't even get a job at anywhere near what these so-called low-paying jobs pay. It was always the way you started out in this country, washing dishes, and you worked your way up from there. Somehow, you went to school, you washed dishes, you went to school, you washed dishes, you got a job, you washed dishes, and then one day you made it. Not anymore. Child gets out of school, and if he can't get a $90,000 a year job, he's disappointed because the world owes it to him. Everybody looks around and says to their neighbor, this has got to change. I'm going to say to you, stop looking at your neighbor. I'm going to tell you right now, you have to change, because that's where it starts. Everybody. Everybody. President William Jefferson Clinton didn't call me the most dangerous radio host in America for nothing, ladies and gentlemen. It's because I am. I tell the truth. I reach out through this microphone to your radio and through your speaker, and I smack you upside the head with the truth. And that's really why we got that threatening phone call today. That's the reason. There is no other reason. It's an attempt to intimidate and silence 101.1 FM Eager. And we will not be silenced. Period. So, Mr. Dennis, whoever you are, whether you're an imposter or whether you really are the owner of the local radio station, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. And I hope you choke on it. But I hope it doesn't hurt you. Because I'm not like you. You see, I would not do what you did to me today. If I had something to say to you, I would have gone to you and said it to your face. Or I would have written you a letter on my letterhead. I would have let you know who I am, and I would have been nice and polite. You see, they didn't even want me to say a word. I tried to explain to them what I was doing and why. I was very polite, very nice. They wouldn't let me finish a sentence. In fact, yelled at me to talk over me and threatened me. Going to put me in jail for 3 years and fine me $10,000. Well, they don't have the authority to do that, and neither does the FCC. It was pure and simple extortion, a threat, coercion. And I don't like it. And I'm not going to stand for it, not for a second. And all you did was fortify my resolve. You see, if you'd have come and spoken to me in a nice manner, we might have been able to come to some mutual agreement. In fact, I'll tell you this right now. If you had come to me and offered to carry the hour of the time just for 1 hour a day, 5 days a week on your radio station, I would have shut down 101.1 FM. Would have shut it down. Because in that 1 hour, I could do what 101.1 FM does in 24. And save the wear and tear on all this music equipment. But since you threatened me, that offer is not open. Wouldn't do it now in a million years after you threatened me like that. Wouldn't even consider it. That is, if you really are who you said you were, the guy named Dennis who owns the local radio station, whom I wouldn't know from Adam, never seen him. Wouldn't know him if I bumped into him on the street. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. You're up to speed. You know who I am. And you know I'm dead serious. And if anybody comes and tries to shut this radio station down by force, Eager's going to become as famous as Waco, Texas. I can guarantee you that. Good night. And God bless each and every single one of you. This is the voice of freedom. You're listening to the Worldwide Freedom Radio Network, Don't miss tomorrow night's broadcast of the Hour of the Time at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, when we will continue with the lost light, the revelation of the true religion of the group of adepts of the mystery religion known as the Illuminati. And you'll discover why they hate you so much, why they want to destroy you, and who their true God really is. Stay tuned now for all oldies most of the time. Classic radio, like you always wished it could be. Only the very best of the very best music of generations gone by.